Correct.
Okay. Natalie, go ahead.
Got our own medics. You're good. You can go home. Fucking stupid.
And that's you, right?
Speaking?
Yeah.
That is correct.
So you say you can go home, you fucking stooge. Right?
Correct.
Okay. He didn't do anything to you, did he?
No.
You didn't see him threaten anyone, did you?
No, I did not.
You didn't see him act aggressive toward anyone, did you?
No, I did not.
In fact, again, whether you agree that he's a medic or not, he's asking people if they need help. Agreed?
That is correct.
Okay. Then 5728. Mr. Binger had asked you about this one, and this is the time that Mr. Rittenhouse you videotaped him. That's fine right there. Go ahead.
I understand. Hey, your job isn't to be in the streets. You gotta stay on your property. That's why you got problems already with people.
So you see him pulling a dumpster out of the road, right?
Correct.
And you'd agree on normal situation, a dumpster's not supposed to be in the road?
In normal situations, yes.
And you hear somebody telling him, hey, that's not your job. You're not to do that, right?
That is correct.
He doesn't react to that person at all, does he?
No, he does not.
He doesn't threaten that person in any way?
No, he does not.
He doesn't point his firearm at that person?
No, he does not.
To be fair, he ignores that person, doesn't he?
I think that's a fair way of putting it.
Okay. And in terms of the next time you really see him is your contact with him on Sheridan Road after the shooting of Joseph Rosenbaum, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, you were asked, were you armed with a firearm? And you said that you were, right? Mr. Binger said, what do you bring? And you said, keys, wallet, whatever else, and a gun, right?
I did say that, yeah.
Kind of standard operating procedure for you out in the summer of 2020?
Not just the summer of 2020.
Oh, so you had carried your firearm at times previous to that?
That's correct.
And you're doing that for personal protection, correct?
Correct.
And you're carrying it concealed, are you not?
That is correct.
It's unlawful for you to carry it concealed. Is that not true?
Unlawful?
Yeah, you can't carry a concealed weapon without a CCW permit, right?
That is correct, yes.
You have to open carry. You have to have, been talking about people with their guns out, you have to carry it with it out if you don't have a CCW permit, right?
That is correct.
And you didn't have a CCW permit, did you?
I did have a CCW permit.
It wasn't valid, correct?
After the fact, yes, I found out that it was not valid.
So, have you been charged for unlawfully carrying a firearm?
No, I have not.
So you're carrying a gun for protection in your, if I have it right, back here, right?
That is correct.
And I'm motioning into my kind of my belt area.
Correct.
Okay. Now, your first contact with Mr. Rittenhouse, I think you had testified that you believed that he said to you that he was going to the police, or that he was working with the police, right?
That is correct.
Well, on your statement on the 26th, which is the first statement you gave to law enforcement, right?
Correct.
You told law enforcement, I heard the guy say, quote, that he pulled the gun on me first, unquote, right?
That is correct.
So you never say to the police during your interview, he told me he was working with you guys. You never tell them that, do you?
That is correct.
So when you make contact with Mr. Rittenhouse, tell me if this is fair. And I'm not, Mr. Binger's asked witnesses to do this, so I'm going to ask you to do the same. You've probably watched videos, you've probably seen all this. I'm asking you to put yourself back there at that time, okay? You know shots are fired, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the only information that you have is Mr. Rittenhouse saying, according to you, he pulled the gun on me first, right?
Correct.
And based on that, you believe there's an active shooter.
Not solely on that, but yes.
You don't have any information, correct?
I had minimal information.
And in fact, what he says to you was, I'm going to the police, correct?
That is correct.
And he's running toward the police, isn't he?
That is correct.
Okay. So what you, and tell me if this is right, you have no idea what happened with Mr. Rosenbaum, do you?
Apart from, no.
Just
No.
on that day.
Correct.
Okay. And he tells you he's running, and he tells you whatever he tells you, I'm going to the police, or what you think is, he pulled the gun first, and he's running away from you, right? He's running north on Sheridan Road. Yes?
Correct.
And he's running away from where you're standing. True?
Correct.
You at that point pull a firearm out from your belt and begin to chase him. True?
That is not true.
I want the picture. I'm going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit 35. You take a peek at that for a second. That's a picture of you, is that right?
On the right-hand side with the blue cap and... Yeah.
You can look there where
Yeah.
this is you, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you're digging into your waistband in the back, are you not?
Yes.
That's where your gun is located, is it not?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you see Kyle Rittenhouse in this picture?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. So, if we can be fair here, this isn't him, right?
No, it is not.
And you don't believe that's him?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. And you'd agree none of these other people are him either?
I think that's a fair thing to say, yes.
Okay. What do you think, to the best of your ability, how far that guy's ahead of you?
It'd be hard to tell, but based on what I can see here, maybe 30 feet.
Okay. So you believe, based on this, Mr. Rittenhouse is more than 30 feet ahead of you because he's not behind that guy, right?
Yes.
Okay. So he's 30 feet, at least 30 feet ahead of you. You look like at that point you're moving. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So with him 30 feet ahead of you, running away from you, at that point you pull your firearm and begin to chase him, correct?
No.
You don't begin to chase him?
Nope. No, I do not.
You head in the direction that he's running. Yes?
Correct.
But you just happen to be running in that direction? It has nothing to do with Kyle Rittenhouse running in that direction?
No, it does have to do with the defendant running in that direction, yes.
Okay. So you are trying to chase him down?
No.
You can hear people yelling at that point, get him, get his ass, things like that, right?
That is correct, yes.
Did you hear, there's one that I've heard on this, and I don't know if you've heard it. Cranium that boy. Did you hear that?
I've heard it after the fact. In that moment, I do not recall hearing that, no.
Okay. But you acknowledge you hear get him and get his ass.
Correct, I do.
Okay. So, fair at that point, you believe those people are chasing him down.
Yes, I do.
And I'm going to use the word mob, you use whatever word you want. It's getting bigger as they're running, isn't it? More people are joining this.
I think that's a fair thing to say.
And you believe, well, tell me if this is true. You were concerned for Kyle Rittenhouse's safety.
Yes, I was.
You were concerned because you saw, and I'm going to refer to him as the only way we refer to him, Jump Kick Man. So you see this guy kick him in the face. True?
I do not see Jump Kick Man kick him in the face.
You see him attempt to kick him in the face?
From my perspective, I didn't see any specific motion regarding kicking. But it is fair to say that I did observe Jump Kick Man going over the defendant.
Okay. And he's going, if you remember, he's going over the defendant with his foot in the air, correct?
I don't recall that.
You have a picture of And before I bring it up, to be fair, you're making up ground on Mr. Rittenhouse, correct? As you're running in his direction.
Correct.
Okay, you eventually catch him.
Correct.
Or come up to him, right?
Correct.
Okay. You can turn around, or whichever you want to do. You see that going on, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if we're being honest with one another, he appears to be trying to kick him in the face, right?
In this photograph, yes.
Okay. How far away from this when it's going on are you?
I don't recall how far away I was exactly when this action occurred.
You're a matter of feet, right?
I think that's a fair thing to say.
Okay.
Close.
All right, and you're seeing this, so you are having some concern, maybe as a medic or while you're training, that Kyle Rittenhouse is in physical danger. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So, and you believe he's in physical danger because he's being attacked, right? That's fair.
It's a fair thing to say, yes.
Okay. So you see this, then you see, can you bring up the Huber picture, please? Then you see Mr. Then you know you didn't know it then, but you know now that's Anthony Huber, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you saw this happening, right?
Correct.
And it was no more from me to you away probably at that point, true?
I don't recall, but that's probably
Ballpark?
fair. Yes.
And in fact, you had mentioned to the officers that you even recalled Mr. Huber holding onto the trucks of that skateboard when he was striking you, right?
Correct.
And that, to be fair, as a medic, that concerned you, did it not?
I think anytime that there's a risk of head trauma, it's a risk.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So, you believe in this picture, one of the reasons you wanted to intervene was you believe that Mr. Rittenhouse was in danger of being seriously hurt, right?
In part, yes.
And you had mentioned to the police that evening that you tried telling Mr. Huber, you just said the guy, but you tried telling the guy to stop hitting him with the skateboard. Is that right?
That is what I put in my statement, yes.
Is that true?
With the benefit of hindsight, I don't believe that to be true, no.
Okay, so when you told that to the police that you told the guy with the skateboard to stop hitting him, that's not correct. That's not true.
That is correct.
Now, your original statement then to the police was, I tried telling the guy to stop hitting him with the skateboard. The guy on the ground then turned over, racked the weapon, and pointed his gun at me and shot me, right?
That is correct, yes.
You omitted the idea. You omitted the fact that you ran up on him and had a Glock pistol in your hand, right? You left that out.
Correct.
Would you think in a case where you are shot that providing the police information that you were actually possessing a firearm at the time would be relevant?
I think that's fair, yes.
Okay. But you didn't think it was relevant to tell him that day, correct?
It's not that I didn't think it wasn't relevant. After the defendant had shot me, I had just gotten out of surgery when the Kenosha police officers had arrived and just gone through one of the most traumatic experiences in my life, both emotionally and physically. I'd just gotten out of surgery. Had just been sedated. I was on pain meds. So,
Go ahead, I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt you.
sorry. It wouldn't have been a purposeful omission.
You were asked at that same statement what you did for work, and you refused to answer that, right?
That is correct.
So you made a conscious decision to not answer that.
That is correct.
You weren't so drugged that you couldn't answer that question, right?
I refused because I was worried for my safety.
My point is that you had a thoughtful process not to answer that. True?
That is correct.
You told this officer specifically what Mr. Rittenhouse was wearing, correct?
That is correct.
You had a thoughtful process, even though you just got out of surgery and were drugged and whatever else was going on, which I understand. You were still able to answer all those questions to the best of your ability, and they were accurate, right?
To the best of my ability, yes.
Okay. So the fact that you failed to mention that you possessed a firearm when you were shot and that you dropped it, were those things that you forgot because of your medication?
I would say not only the medication, but also the traumatic experience that I had just gone through.
And you understand it's the only information that you appeared to have forgotten that puts you with a gun directly in front of him, right?
That is correct.
Now, you are also then interviewed again by law enforcement in September. Is that right?
That is correct.
You bring your lawyer.
Correct.
Mr. Binger's there?
Not in person.
Okay, but he's present in the...
He is attending the meeting, yes.
Okay. And there were three...
Sorry, he was present via Zoom.
Okay, and there were a total, if you remember, 3 prosecutors present, right?
The only 2 people who I were aware were their official capacity was the lead detective, Ben Antaramian, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, and then Mr. Binger.
Okay.
But as for the other people, I'm sure they mentioned their names, but those are the 2 people that stuck out, I guess I should say.
So the people that you recall, Detective Antaramian, Mr. Binger, your lawyer, and you.
Correct.
And you were asked on that day, which would be, now that would be your second statement, you were asked about what had happened, right?
Correct.
And had you viewed some of the video between the shooting and the interview that you gave on, I think it was the 24th of September?
I can't say for sure, but I would say it's a very fair guess that I had at least seen something at that point, or by that point.
And in that interview, you don't answer any questions about the shooting, do you?
No, I do not.
This lead detective on a homicide case, where you are also shot, is trying to gather information to figure out exactly what went on, and you refuse to answer questions about that, right?
Specifically about the shooting?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Was that your decision or your lawyer's decision?
That was the advice that my counsel gave me.
So your counsel wouldn't let you answer questions about your involvement. True?
I wouldn't say that she wouldn't let me, but she advised against it.
So your statements about what actually happened, first time that we're getting an insight as to what actually happened is today, right?
I don't think that's accurate.
Well, on the 24th, you refused to answer questions, right?
The 24th of
September.
Correct.
And the day after the incident, you acknowledge you left out the fact that you even had a gun, right?
That is correct.
You were asked, Mr. Binger asked you about this, you were asked for permission to look through your phone, right?
I do recall that, yes.
You never actually gave your phone to Detective Antaramian to look through, did you?
My phone was picked up off the street the night of the 25th. So, no, I didn't give my phone to anybody. Somebody, and I'm assuming a police officer, had picked it up.
My question to you, that wasn't my question to you. My question to you was, Detective Antaramian asked you for permission to look through your phone, and you never gave him your phone. True?
I never gave him permission to look through my phone, no.
Are you aware that he had a search warrant for your phone?
No, I was not.
So, if I can, Mr. Grosskreutz, I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the video, okay? Are we good on time?
I haven't been notified that the lunch is here, but
Have you noticed that as everything around you seems to decline, one thing still grows? It is the power of your rulers. None of their plans and directives have solved your problems or made your life better. The only result has been their increased control over you at the cost of your freedom. Do you know why? You gave them the power.